Hi, Mr. Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I have this student in my fifth grade classroom named Nick who is giving me some troubles.
Okay, so what's going on with Nick?
Well, the main thing is that he disrupts the class on a daily basis. He interrupts during lessons. He calls out.
So he's interrupting during your lessons and calling out. What does that typically look like? Like, what is he?
Well, it's a variety of things. Sometimes he'll just yell out an answer. So, like, for example, in math, he'll just yell out an answer before, I've had a chance to call on someone. Or he'll just yell out, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith, in the middle of a lesson, and then, I'll say, what is it, Nick? Say, you skipped a problem. Yes, Nick, we talked about that we're going to skip number 8. So it's that kind of thing. Sometimes he's a disruption because he'll just put his head down and almost like he's sleeping, and so that's the other kids, get distracted by that. And he shouldn't be sleeping in class. So.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
So, how often do you feel like this is happening?
Oh, it's a daily basis. He's in my class most of the day. Couple days a week he goes, he switches classrooms for social studies and science. But other than that, he's in my room for every subject but the specials.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being minimally disruptive and 10 being we're not getting anything done as a class because of his disruption, what's happening?
I'd say it depends on the day and the class, but it's usually anywhere from like 7 to 10.
Okay. So it sounds like he's having a really hard time staying on task and focusing, and it sounds like he's impulsive with his calling out and...
Yeah, I think any thought that just comes into his head, he just feels the need to share it with everyone right away.
Okay. And is it distracting other students?
Yes. Yeah.
How does this affect you in the classroom?
Well, if I'm starting off a lesson at the front of the room or giving instruction, I get interrupted and I have to stop and address Nick and either answer his question or tell him not now, because if I don't acknowledge him, he'll just keep saying my name until I do.
So you've tried to ignore him before?
Yes.
And it just fuels the fire?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any ideas as to maybe why he's calling out all the time?
I think it kind of differs, because I think, like in math, for example, he's quite strong in math. He has high test scores really across the board. So I have modified his work and given him some enrichment and some more, some harder work.
Mm-hmm.
But when he is present for the math lesson, I think oftentimes it's very easy for him and he can just get the answers quickly, and so he may get a little frustrated with the pace of the rest of the class. Other times he just has legitimate questions in his head, and he just feels the need to ask them right away.
Okay. So sometimes it seems like he's bored because the work is too easy, and so he's kind of frustrated with the rest of the class not being able to shout out the answers and speed up to his level.
Right.
And other times it doesn't really matter what he's doing, he's just impulsively blurting out questions.
Yeah, I think it's also an avoidance. For example, writing is a challenge for him. I think he has trouble focusing, giving the, the time and effort to really sit down and form thoughts and put them down on paper or type them out. And so when he's frustrated with something, then he'll start to act out as well.
Okay. And is this mostly verbal acting out, or does he ever get physical?
He doesn't get physical with anyone else. I mean, he has sort of started, knocking his head on the desk before when he's, frustrated with usually writing or something along those lines.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a good idea as to maybe what some of his triggers are, and you have an idea of what his threshold looks like as to maybe when he's going to become more disruptive. What have you tried so far?
Well, if he's a disruption, he can't, hold it together, then I'll send him into the resource room across the hall. But sometimes there's nobody in there, so he can't go there. So I'll send him to the office to kind of take a break. And I'll call the office, tell him he's on his way. That's most of what we've tried so far.
Does he come back and is he less disruptive when he enters the classroom again?
Usually not, but by the time he gets back, usually we're, either in group work or independent work. It's student work time, and so, either I'll catch him up or I'll give him, work to do depending on what subject it is. Sometimes, he's already knows what to do. And then, I'm circulating anyway, but then usually a lot of my time is focused on him.
Does he do better if he's one-on-one with you?
Yeah, I mean, if he's one-on-one with someone, then yeah, he's a lot better than, in a class of 20-some students.
So what are you looking for as far as what would you like to see happen?
Well, I'd like to see him, less disruptions on the class, less calling out. 0 would be great, but, and then, probably just, so that he can focus a little bit more, so that the rest of the class doesn't get interrupted.
How often is he leaving the classroom? Like, how often are you sending him out?
If it's a bad day, sometimes it's multiple times a day. It could be multiple times a period. If nobody's in the resource room across the hall, I'll start with just having him sit right outside the classroom for a few minutes, maybe, take his, if it's spelling, you can take his spelling out there and work on it, or his writing or math, whatever, for a few minutes and see if that helps cool him down. Other times, send him to the office. Just depends.
So, do you feel like sending him out of the room is what he's kind of looking for? Is he trying to escape?
No, he'll resist it a lot.
Okay.
He'll say, no, I'm fine. I don't need to go.
He doesn't want to have to leave.
No, he doesn't want to have to leave.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Well, I definitely think something that I want to do is come in and do some observations, some time on task observations, and maybe consider doing a functional behavior assessment so we can look at maybe a behavior intervention plan. But I'm wondering what we can do to get you some support in the classroom now. Like, what kind of strategies do you think would be helpful right now for him? Do you know what motivates him?
I know he likes you know, at home, I think he likes video games, and you know, we have computers in the classroom. He likes, you know, if we have like Fun Friday or something, he likes to go on, you know, computer games, websites, that kind of thing.
Do you think that that's something that he would want to work towards, like if he were to earn more video game time?
I would, yeah. I mean, I think he would like more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think he's aware of how much he's disrupting the classroom?
No, I don't think he is. Sometimes, you know, he'll, if I give him a warning that, you know, one more disruption and, you know, you have to go to the office or across the hall, he'll start to apologize, and kind of realize how many times he is, but then other times it's just impulsive and it's just coming out and he doesn't realize it.
And you feel like it can happen in any subject, it's not like one specific subject, or depending on who he's sitting next to or what's going on in the room that makes it worse?
I would say, in academics in my classroom, no, the subject matter doesn't, it differs between, you know, like math, which is probably his strongest suit, and then writing, which is his weakest, kinds of disruptions.
So just the type of disruption.
Yeah,
But it's overall, he's just
Yeah.
always disrupting.
Yeah, in music class, I believe he's on task
Okay.
a lot.
So
But
he enjoys music.
yes, but in PE, apparently he's off task a lot.
Okay. So as far as earning video games or computer time, what do you think would be a good expectation for him, and how could you monitor that in the classroom for him to understand if you have so many, you know, up to so many disruptions and what that looks like, then you get to earn this.
Well, obviously, I'd love to have 0, but
Right.
maybe, I don't know, realistic could be, you know, 5 or less in a class period, so like a 45-minute or an hour.
Okay, that's a good start.
So just some sort of tally system, or
Do you want him to tally it? I mean, I obviously don't know that you can expect him to just do it himself, but do you think he would respond okay if, like, you went over to his desk and tapped his desk or tapped a tally chart on his desk to mark it, so that you're, you know, making him aware that he's disrupting and he tallies it, and so that kind of brings him back into, oh right, I'm trying to earn video game time.
yeah, I think if he kind of saw the visual of, you know, how many times it is, and maybe some correlation between that and earning game time.
Okay. Do you think that, does he need, like, breaks? Like, scheduled breaks?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve when, you know, I'll send him across the hall or to the office. It's just almost the, you know, the getting him out of, you know, getting his blood flowing and out of the environment for just even a few minutes. You know, he walks all the way down to the office. It depends on who's there. Sometimes it's just the secretary who will just, you know, they know who he is, and usually why he's there. If the principal's there, the principal will talk to him for a few minutes about why he's there, and I think he'll probably get a drink or go to the bathroom, and then, you know, sometimes when he comes back, then he can kind of settle down and focus a little bit better. So I think breaks would definitely help. It's just a matter of
Do you feel like,
supervision.
right, do you feel like they need to be more structured breaks? Like, this is the plan and, you know, you can go take your break now, or is he just kind of wandering around to where he needs to go?
I think structured breaks would be good, because I think, you know, at the very beginning of a class he can usually, you know, settle in, but then, you know, we get to that 5 or 10 minute mark, and then he'll start to disrupt. Sometimes it's right away, but if he knew he had a break coming, he might, if he knew that, you know, I've only got 15 minutes and then I'm gonna get up and, you know, go do X, Y, Z, that might help him be less impulsive.
Okay. So some sort of scheduled break with a visual maybe on his desk that he knows, when it's coming, I think would be helpful.
Yeah, that might work.
Okay. So it looks like we have a few different ideas. We have using the video games to motivate, we have scheduled breaks, some sort of visual on his desk to help him keep track of how many times he's being disrupted, as well as a visual so that he knows how much more time he has until his next break. Are there any of those that you think would work better? Do you want to try a combination of those?
I think we could definitely start with the, you know, like the tallying of the disruptions. If we can coordinate the breaks, I think that would be good. But we could definitely so maybe a combination.
Okay, so you want to start with the tallying and using the videos as a motivation, and seeing how that goes while you work on figuring out how to schedule the breaks and what that's going to actually look like.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would like to schedule some time to come in and observe him and kind of see what maybe the purpose of the disruption is, and get an idea of maybe when the breaks would be most helpful for him, and how, you know, and make it the least disruptive for the class. As far as the times for the breaks for him would go, would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will go ahead and do that. And then, do you need any help with coming up with a tally system, or a reward chart for his video gaming, or do you think that you?
If you had like a tally system, you know, maybe I might have a template from another student in my files.
Okay, well, I can send you some things that I have too. And then, do you feel comfortable taking care of that piece of it?
Yeah.
And will you, so we'll have to sit down with him and explain to him what this looks like, and I can help you with that, or unless you feel like he'll listen to what you have to say and be okay with that. And then explain to him, you know, 45-minute period, we're gonna tally how many times that you interrupt, and based on that, determines on how much video time you get at the end of the day. Do you usually do it at the end of the day, like during?
Usually at the end of the day on
Friday.
Friday.
So the end of the
Yeah.
week is when he would get that time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you'll work on that, and I'll come in and do some observations, and let's meet. Let's try this for a few days and see how it goes, and let's meet at the end of the week maybe and see how it went. And you can obviously email me or come by if you have any questions or want any extra help, and I'll try to get in and observe within the next day or two to see what we can do. And let's meet on Friday and see how this went and go from there. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.